Welcome to episode 7 of trying to find this mystery skater with Tony Hawk. Now this past week I spoke to more people, trying to get more leads or theories to this guy, starting with the revisit of Bill Epridge's wife, Adrienne. Now Adrienne looked further into Bill's notes, and here's what she found. We now have dates, starting with photo shoot number 1. These photos were taken on April 28th, 1965. Next we got photo shoot number 2 with Patty McGee. These were taken on April 30th, 1965. And then we got photo shoot number 3, which is the one we're looking into, the impromptu skateboarding in Central Park. And these were taken on May 2nd, 1965. Now, looking at the weather on May 2nd in Manhattan, it was considered comfortable on the evening of May 2nd, which is when these photos would have been taken. We officially have a date for this photo, May 2nd, 1965. Next, I had to look at these photos and ask more whys. For example, why is there so many young men here? And why are most of them dressed nicely? We have to ask ourselves, what are some situations where you'd see a bunch of young people dressed nicely around the same age? Private school. Now, I looked all around Central Park for any private schools that might have had uniforms. And right beside the park is a school called Ethical Culture Fieldston School. This was a private school. So I called up the school, and they put me in touch with the former alumni director. She was amazing. Her name was Toby. Now, Toby told me that normally the school had a more casual approach, but there was a period of time in the 60s where the boys had to wear uniforms. Okay. She also mentioned that Central Park was a big part of the school's curriculum, as it was for many surrounding schools. They would hold gym classes and other physical assemblies at Central Park. Remember, this is New York City, so space is tight. What better place to run around than right across the street at Central Park? That also checks in with our theory. So back to these photos. This theory is starting to look good. Potentially a private school with the nice uniforms. Maybe it's the after-school program. This was all sounding so promising. However, there was 2 major issues. 1. May 2nd, 1965 fell on a Sunday. Now that can also address why they are dressed nicely, but the kids wouldn't be at school. And 2, Ethical Culture Fieldston School had 2 campuses, and unfortunately this one, right beside Central Park, went from pre-K to 6th grade. After that, the students would then get bused to the location in the Bronx, where they'd go until they graduate high school. So these kids were too old to attend this location of the school. Now Toby did also mention another school in the area that might be worth checking out, McBurney High School. Now McBurney shut its doors in 1988, but in 1965, it did have uniforms. It was a private high school, and it was near Central Park. They even had some pretty notable alumni, such as Henry Winkler and Robert De Niro. Big names. And by the looks of their uniform, they had an embroidery that said McBurney on the left side of their jacket, none of which appears in any of these photos. Now it's time to face reality. These photos were taken in 1965, 59 years ago. And the common theory people have had throughout this entire series is that if enough people see this, somebody from this guy's family will recognize him. Just to put some context here, as we all know, these photos weren't in Life magazine. The shoot was commissioned by them, but none of them were used in the article. These photos were taken by Bill Epridge on film and then gave the film reel over to Life magazine. The internet became more publicly used in 1992. So that was like the start of the internet. Uploading photos to it probably wasn't even a thing yet. That's almost 30 years after these photos were taken, meaning these photos were not publicly accessible for decades. Basically, it's like if somebody took your photo at an amusement park 30 years ago. Hey, can I take your photo? You say sure. You smile and you go about your day. You never see or hear anything about these photos again. Naturally, you'd probably forget about that moment ever happening. I have worked tirelessly trying to find this mystery skater, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. Now, throughout my research and creation of this series, a lot of great moments have happened. I got to talk to Patty McGee, the first woman ever inducted into the Skateboarding Hall of Fame. I got to talk to former editor-in-chiefs of Life magazine and Surfer magazine. I got to learn and share skateboarding history with the world. And of course, I got to do it all with Tony Hawk. It's been amazing. But most importantly, the universe brought this series for a reason, and at a very unique time. 2 days after I posted episode 4, the same episode that I profiled Peter and his mom Estelle, she unfortunately passed away. But just before that happened, we got to provide Peter with a final moment with his mom from 1965. She smiled. She remembered. While this search will continue on in the background, the episodes have come to an end. I want to give a big thank you to Tony Hawk for allowing me to spearhead this search and for all the attention and context that he gave this series. I want to give a big thank you to you guys for all of the love and support you've shown. Look, lastly, there's nobody on this planet that wanted to know the identity of this guy more than me. But I need to be realistic. From the get-go, the gravity of what we were trying to do in locating this guy's identity was so massive. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for everyone that watched. I should mention that everything you've seen here is what my channel is all about. I do investigative searches on vintage photos, and I've got a great one coming up this week. I'm going to tell you guys the real story of this photo. Be sure to like and follow for more fun videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you guys later.